And welcome back. We begin this next half hour of KXLY4 News with an exclusive.
We've had a few murder cases in Clarkston, but not an unsolved one that's been, this old.
A teenage girl stabbed to death in her own home. Who did it and why? Still unanswered questions after 28 long years. But new technology and fresh detectives on the case could mean justice for a Clarkston, Washington family and redemption for the police department accused of failing to do their job. KXLY4's Ariana Lake brings us tonight's special report of a killing in Clarkston.
It's really a retirement type community. The cost of living isn't too high. We've got the river, we got the mountains.
Even hidden beneath a layer of beauty, every place has its secrets, even in a town like this. Here, the truth is buried in these boxes, in this grave, and for 28 years, hidden in one killer's mind.
So on July 28th, 1990 at 5 o'clock in the morning, Tony Ann Tedder was murdered at her house here in Clarkston.
It's Clarkston Police Detective Sergeant Brian Denny's job to find out who thrust a knife through Tony Ann's heart. It was 3 days after her 18th birthday. She was sleeping in her living room that hot summer morning, right next to her sister.
I mean, it was pretty brutal. The wounds were, the stabs in the chest were into the heart, so I mean, it appeared they knew what what organ they were trying to get.
Police didn't find much DNA evidence, even though the murder weapon was left behind. Much of what they had to go on was the description from a terrified sister in the worst moment of her life, sketches at best, and rumors in a small town. Everyone was a suspect, including Jimmy Tedder, Tony Ann's father.
I agreed to a lie detector test right in the beginning, and Officer Campbell looked at me when it was over and said, "I believe you killed your daughter."
And now, he thinks targeting him may have allowed his daughter's killer to go free.
There's two guys that my family and I have got it narrowed down to, or we think we do.
But they don't have much hope for justice.
Do you think they're going to be able to figure out who did this?
No, I don't.
I think one of the things that it seems to come down to every time is they cannot find anybody with a motive. There was no reason to kill her.
Why would someone murder this honor roll student, known for her athleticism and community involvement?
But Tony Ann was always busy. She didn't let any grass grow. She lived 100 years in her 18 years.
Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me.
That's Tony Ann's voice on that tape, a connection to the past her family lost decades ago. 28 springs have passed since Tony Ann was laid to rest. To this day, the Tedders still think about that morning and where the killer ran to, leaving Tony Ann to die.
I'll direct one statement to the killer. Regardless of who you are, you need to remember that God will never, ever forgive you until you ask for forgiveness. Plain and simple. So young man, whoever you are, you're hell-bound unless you do.
So many questions remain, turned over by a new detective every few years. While authorities want to arrest the killer, the Tedders believe justice comes in another way.
I am content with the fact that God knows who did this, He knows why He did this, and He knows what is going to become of it. And I can leave it at that.
But Detective Denny can't leave it at that. He's still searching for answers buried in these boxes.
The evidence, back then when it was tested, we didn't have near the technology that we have now. So we've got a lot of advancements that are helping us out.
Every grainy photo and worn document gets him closer to answering a decades-old secret, to finally solving a crime haunting this place. Maybe then Tony Ann can finally rest in peace.
Yeah, we have some pretty, what we think are big leads that we're working on, so we're pretty hopeful.
So this is a joint investigation by both the Clarkston Police Department and Washington State Patrol working on this together.
And so authorities, even all this time, still hoping they can find some clues and tips from the public?
Yeah, so if you have any tips, any clues from that night or anything after, they still want you to come forward and contact police with that information. Even the smallest bit of information can make a huge difference in this case.
Incredible story. My goodness. Very well done. Thank you so much for that, Ariana.